Hey, so what are you getting from me? Like, yeah, okay, maybe. Yeah, or I sent you a link too to join video call in chat. Did you just see that? Did that work? Sorry, I'm a little bit new to this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So check out Google Plus, and then where would the invite would be up in the little notifications, probably on the top right. Okay. Should I invite you again? You want me to invite you again? Okay. Okay. There you are. All right. I'm going to switch over to computer. Okay.
Okay,
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Oh, great. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking then is we can just start off like this, which will be fun. And like when you talk, I think it shows your face.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
And then fix your hair. And I can edit this out. I'll edit out the beginning stuff. And then we go to screen share and we'll just share this. Can you see it?
Yep, I see it.
And is it taking up the whole thing?
No,
Let me see.
I think it's, is it now? It doesn't look like it's in presentation mode.
Yeah, okay. Let me stop. Oh, wait, maybe that might be what it is. Okay. Because it is in presentation mode on my computer.
Hmm.
Let's see. It's still small?
It's coming up. Yeah, it's still small.
Darn it. I wonder if there's a way to. Let's just do this entire screen. Whoa.
Whoa.
What about now?
I was cut. Yeah, that is now full screen.
Okay, great. So we'll do full screen
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll just go through the PowerPoint together.
Sounds good.
Okay. Whoa.
That's freaky.
How do I turn that off? Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay. Okay. And shoot, I want to make sure it's basically what this is doing is it's going straight to YouTube, and it'll be a video that then I can download and edit.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right. So I'll do the introduction then and just say we're doing it live. Okay. All right. Welcome to Leadership for Change Agents. And this time we have a real special treat. We have myself and a dear old friend and colleague, Daniela Judas. And we're going to talk about AIMS and driver diagrams. And we're trying the Google Hangout platform. So we're going to switch over to PowerPoint. But I wanted to give you a second to say hi.
Hi. Looking forward to it.
All right. Great. So let's go ahead and pull up the Leadership for Change Agents. And we're going to talk about AIMS and driver diagrams. So these are a real critical, absolutely essential tool for capturing what it is you're trying to do in making the world a better place. So we wanted to share with you what these are. So Juice, talk us through. Here's a driver diagram. What
Hello. That sounds like it dropped off. I think I've lost sound and I don't see the PowerPoint.
I took that off, but what about now?
I hear the sound, but I don't see the PowerPoint. I see your image.
Okay, it might be a little bit of a lag.
Let me see. Screen share.
It's not doing it?
No, it still has,
I stopped sharing.
yeah, it had your image of your Google Plus image.
Okay. Okay, it must have
And it
been
was
level.
wah, wah, wah when you were talking.
Okay, let's try it again. And what we might do is just try to get it down and then go ahead and redo one just straight through clean.
Oh, wait, this might be it. Let's see. Okay, now it's up, Becky.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's do a practice run and then we'll do a new recording and hopefully that'll just be it.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we wanted you to just start off with seeing a driver diagram. So this is what one looks like. So Juice, what should we be noticing here?
Yeah, so here on this driver diagram, you'll see a couple different things, and I'll work through it from left to right. So on the left, you'll see the goal, also known as the aim. And so this is what you're really trying to accomplish. Where do you want to be? And in this case, we want to decrease our fuel cost. Then what happens is really it fans out to the right, and those items are the drivers, what we call drivers, that will help us actually decrease that fuel cost. So a couple things that come to mind is maybe you reduce your, find a station that has lower gas price, drive as much, or maybe you find a way to increase your miles per gallon. And so that takes you through kind of your primary set of drivers. And then you can build this out as far as what makes sense for your situation. But in this case, we're going to take increased efficiency and figure out other ways, like how can we actually do that? And that drives us into the second level, which is the secondary drivers. We could do that by increasing car efficiency, maybe by changing our driving patterns. And then you said you can kind of follow this out as far as you need to for your purpose. In this case, we took it to one more layer, which is the tertiary drivers, and it just gives us some more specifics on how we could change our driving patterns. So those are you'll hear often primary and secondary drivers, but what you also notice with this is the boxes that have the dotted lines around them are really your actions of what you can do. And that's really what a key component of the driver diagram does, is takes what you want to do, which is decrease fuel cost, and get you to actual actions that you can do to get there. And those are pretty much the main elements of a driver diagram.
And Juice, what I'm seeing in this is, here's how I kind of read these. I look at the part in green here and I say, if I reduce my fuel price per gallon, and if I reduce the miles driven, and if I increase my fuel efficiency, it should result in me spending less money on fuel.
Exactly. It should. And that's what another key we'll get to here in a little bit is this helps you come up with ways or hypothesis on what you think will actually decrease your fuel cost. It may or may not, but it gives you a place to start to then test to see if, say, reducing miles driven actually does lead to a decrease in your fuel cost.
Yeah, but it forces me to be explicit about what my assumptions are.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. Well, and I think so many people working to make the world a better place, they have this in their heads, but they haven't actually just spit it out in a really simple way. And that this can be a really useful way of moving your work from just ideas to concrete action steps.
Absolutely. And oftentimes it's in someone's head somewhere, but once you actually, the power of putting it down on paper, or in today's age, maybe electronically, but actually the power of documenting it and going through that process actually helps the whole picture come together, and also helps you maybe identify things that you didn't think of.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, so let's jump into like what actually, when you break it down, there's 3 real reasons you can use a driver diagram, and you talked about some already. So one is that you have your testable hypotheses, like what do we need to learn more about to achieve our aim, and then how are the factors related to another. And the other is that it's just a simple communications tool. Like, if I show you this, you're like, oh, okay, you're trying to decrease fuel costs, and this is the way you think you're going to go ahead about doing it. And I like to say you could put a theory of change on a napkin. Like literally, this is simple enough, it could be written on a napkin. I'm not talking about a 10-page, concept paper on strategy. It literally can be written on a napkin, which I love the simplicity of this. And Juice, this gets into an area near and dear to your heart is once you have this straight, then you can start pulling together your measurement system.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you do the diagram correctly, then it also sets you up to measure your progress towards that goal effectively.
Great. Well, so tell us a little bit about aim setting, and this is a very important step, not to be skipped. But what do people in the class need to think about as they're working in this far left box here, the goal or the aim?
Yeah, so in the example, we have decreased fuel cost, and ideally what you're going to do is you're going to have a little bit more around that, because as you see, sum is not a number and soon is not a time. So in this case, with decreased fuel cost, what we would want to do is put to decrease it by 10% by 60 days. So you want to really make sure you're holding yourself to a target and a time. And if you don't do that, what tends to happen is you never know if you're improving and getting close to where you want to be, because you haven't said exactly where you want to be.
Got it. Got it. And so if I want to decrease it by 10%, then I need to know how much I'm spending now.
Exactly, which leads into the next, which is you've got to know your baseline, kind of how much money are you spending on average today, to know exactly if, like you said, if you want to decrease it by 10%, what's that mean? What's that number that I'm trying to go after?
Okay. And this can, a lot of people in the course are working on homelessness. Like this can translate right over into that. Like I want to decrease homelessness by 90%. Well, okay. How many people are homeless right now? That's such a critical part of this.
Exactly. And usually you want to know what your baseline and current state is before you set that target. It's just a good practice to know where you are to then set where you want to be.
Great. Great. Tell us about what we should be thinking about full scale and end games.
Oh, that's a good question. I'll take the full scale and I'll let you talk about end game, but kind of what is full scale? It's kind of when you think you're done, what's that mean? I guess is the way I would think about it. So in the fuel cost, full scale for me is that I've reached my aim and that it's sustainable, that I can continue to keep that fuel cost at that level that I achieved.
Got it. All right. And for social change, I think where some of this starts to kick in is, your program might have a concrete aim, like we're gonna double the literacy rate, or we're gonna multiply by 5 the number of schools using a particular practice. But what would part of it in the aim setting is, even if you're not able right here and right now to achieve full scale, at least keep in mind what that is. And one rule of thumb we like to use is that you can take where you are right now and multiply that by 5 or 10 times for where you can be in your next iteration. That's a good way of knowing, like, okay, if we housed 100 people last year, let's do 500 this year. And what that does is it really forces you to ramp up what you're doing. Go ahead, Juice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it forces you to do to act differently and not just work harder. So you've got to work differently to achieve that 5 times, that 10 times. You can't just work harder. And that's, I think, what's really critical in driving that large scale social change.
Yeah. Oh, so true. So true. We're not about working harder here. And the end game question we covered in another module here, but it's also thinking about, like, okay, what's the point? Are you trying to get government buyout? Are you trying to create a commercial market? Are you trying to solve the problem all the way? Are you trying to just sustain your business forever? Like, what is it? And keeping that in mind as you're setting your aim, that your aim is aligned with your eventual end game that you want. Well, all right, let's move from aim setting to what are the things you need to include in a driver diagram? Juice, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered that on the first slide, but as a kind of refresher, so the aim or the goal is really what do we want to achieve, and on the driver diagram, that's usually all the way to the left. And then you've got your primary factors and your secondary drivers. So primary factors, what is it that will immediately impact, make a difference of you getting to your aim? And the secondary drivers is really what you're going to test to actually. So for the example with driving habits, yeah, you can take either tertiary or secondary. So let's say with increasing car efficiency, well, that's not a good one because you just buy a new car. So improving driving patterns, if I kind of don't drive as erratically like a sports car driver, that's my theory, that if I don't do that, then I'm going to increase my efficiency. And so that's one of the elements of what's on a driver diagram.
That's great. All right. And then let's say someone wants to do a driver diagram. I hope we've inspired someone to do that. How would they even begin?
Yeah, it's like say, kind of keep it simple. You could start on a back of a napkin, but I think the first is making sure you have the right people around the table. Maybe people with a brand new perspective that may inject some ideas that people haven't thought of. And then once you have the right people at the table, it's really just brainstorming, saying, hey, this is the goal that we want to achieve. What are some ways that we could do it? And I always love to use Post-it notes and just have people take a Sharpie and write things down. And then you take those ideas after you've spent some time writing those down, then just kind of group them into common areas. So for example, with the driving patterns, if people put about braking and accelerating and fast driving, those kind of all fit into one category. So try to come up with some of the common drivers or categories. And then, see if once you have that, kind of step back and see if there's other new drivers that maybe come to mind on what you have. And then it's linking them together. And in the driver diagram that we used as an example, it's pretty clean. But in reality, what will happen is you will have lines going everywhere, in the sense that, maybe increase car efficiency. If we do that, it will also reduce miles, not in this case, but it could have an impact on on multiple primary drivers. So don't think that it's just one-to-one relationship in your drivers.
Got it. Okay. So it can be that one thing can affect different things at different levels.
Exactly.
Great. So what do I do now?
Celebrate. And there's a few ways that you can use this driver diagram. I mean, clearly it's a working document. Will never be necessarily a final state. You always go back and adjust it based on what you learn and you discover. So make sure it's utilized. But some ways that it can be used immediately is to communicate your theory of change to others within your organization or outside of your organization. It's a great tool to use when new employees come on board. You also use it to identify your improvement projects. So that's what was the boxes that were outlined in dotted lines. That's what you actually now say, okay, here's a list of projects. Now you can also use that to prioritize what projects you think will get you the most progress towards your aim. And then, once you do have your projects, obviously the next kind of lead on to that is creating the work plans from that. And as we mentioned earlier, when you do set up your driver diagrams, you always think about how you can measure these drivers, and that's will help you track your progress towards the aim. And sometimes you learn as you go through this that the driver diagram that you had that you thought, in this case might impact fuel efficiency, and your cost on fuel doesn't. And that's okay. That's part of how we use driver diagrams to learn, and then you modify as needed and go through the process again.
There's one other thing that I like to use driver diagrams for that I forgot, is to align staff. I like to, when I'm working on something, I like to have owners of whole drivers if possible. Like, so using this, if we had a nonprofit and our goal was decreasing fuel costs, I would want to have, one person in charge of each primary driver, and that they can fully own the testing and the activities associated with that. Or it can be a useful kind of gut check on, is my staff spread all over the place, or am I really getting some efficiency by having people focus on things?
Exactly. And having that, if you're all aligned, do you have the right resources to do that? And if not, then what's the priority? Helps you determine that as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, so for your home play in the course is if you want to create your own driver diagram or put your theory of change out there, if you sketch it, literally you can sketch it on a napkin and take a picture and upload it. to the discussion area. We will give you feedback and give you some pointers on how to make this really a living, breathing, working document for you. So we look forward to seeing your driver diagrams. And Daniil, I'm going to stop sharing, and I just want to thank you for doing this recording with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. Okay.